Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's not your average Josh back here for another movie review. And today I'm reviewing the new Wes Anderson movie, Asteroid City, that just came out this weekend. But before I get into my movie review, I do want to say if you're watching this, hit that like button and also leave a comment down below if you have any thoughts on this movie or any other Wes Anderson movies you want to talk about. Leave a comment down below. Also, hit that subscribe button as well if this is your first time watching any of my videos, or if you're a returning viewer as well. As always, any support is very much appreciated, and you can follow me on TikTok and Snapchat where I will post content similar to this, but for the most part my content will be here on this YouTube channel, Not Your Average Josh. So again, I appreciate all the support. But let's go ahead and get into this review of Asteroid City. As I mentioned, this was directed by Wes Anderson and written by him as well, along with Roman Coppola. Following a writer on his world-famous fictional play about a grieving father who travels with his tech-obsessed family to small rural asteroid city to compete in a junior stargazing event, only to have his worldview disrupted forever. If you've seen any other Wes Anderson movies before, you kind of know the style and what he is going to have coming into this. I love some of it. Fantastic Mr. Fox, Grand Budapest Hotel, Bottle Rocket, Royal Tenenbaums might be up there as well, the movies that I really like or love. I haven't seen his full filmography. I do want to. I've been trying to catch up the past few years. But as soon as I saw this trailer for this movie, the concept alone of just this period, 1955, dealing with aliens and just space exploration, the whole idea of that definitely intrigued me very much. But on the other hand, I just didn't know quite what this movie was going to be, and I guess you never really know until you watch the movie. Whatever movie Wes Anderson does, a little bit of a mixed bag going into this, and I can say coming out of this movie, I feel very much the same way. This is very much a mixed bag movie for me. There's some things in this movie that just didn't quite click with me. I felt more of a disconnect with, and really it starts with the way this movie is narrated. And you have the host being played by Bryan Cranston, and he is basically going through the whole events of how this play in this movie comes about, the whole process of getting it developed and written, and also when it is on stage and being performed. There's days that go by, and they kind of go through the whole process, a little bit behind the scenes of what's happening with the actors within the play, and then it'll cut to the full color screen, most of what you see in this movie of the actual play being played out, if you will. Already that right there, I was a little bit thrown off, I guess, by, and it wouldn't have been an issue for me necessarily, but I will say when they're dealing with this behind the scenes stuff or going through, I guess, the events going on in the real world here, the screen changes, goes black and white, and the aspect ratio changes as well. And really through all these moments, any scene that was going on with that, I just felt way more disconnected than when we were watching, I guess, the actual play play out, what was going on in it, all the events actually going on in Asteroid City, if you will. I was way more intrigued, invested in just the stuff going on there. And this movie, a lot like other Wes Anderson movies, there's not like a straightforward narrative plot that you'll see in most movies. And for that, I really appreciate Wes Anderson for, and in a lot of his other movies, I really love that. And I love that he leans into it. I thought he leans into it just a little much, maybe at times in this movie. I don't know, just the style of it. I would have rather just stayed with the stuff maybe going on in Asteroid City most of the time. I appreciate what he was going for. I understood it. It was pretty cool, nice perspective, and very just creative. You can tell watching this movie, Wes Anderson is just a very smart mind, has a nice, great, different, unique type of director. But for me, I just really just like the stuff going on. We were going on, the events on Asteroid City with the aliens and the space exploration, and all the actors that were involved in this movie, they all did a really good job. Even dealing with the stuff like Adrian Brody and Edward Norton, really the stuff going on in the real world, I guess, if you want to put it that way. An all-star cast. I mean, this is honestly one of the biggest casts I've ever seen, with just famous people, well-known actors just thrown throughout this movie, and that is not anything new or surprising with Wes Anderson, but I feel like even more so with this movie. Part of what I'm talking about, where I think he's even leaning more heavily into like the Wes Anderson isms or something, like this is one of the most Wes Anderson movies ever or something, in a way, in certain aspects. And so, and for some of that, I guess I really do like that and appreciate that film style. And one of the things I thought was really benefited this movie for me overall was the runtime. It was under 2 hours. I think any longer, this movie might have definitely overstayed its welcome. There are just moments, and there'll be scenes where I'm not getting antsy in my seat, but unlike other Wes Anderson movies, I'm just like, I don't know what the word for is. I'm not struggling to follow along, but it's just a little bit more of a stale feeling in certain scenes. Like, I'm kind of like, okay, what's quite going on here. And the first time watching it too, so maybe on multiple watches, I think with some of these Wes Anderson movies, you notice a lot more things. You understand the overall story and what they were going for more. It's just a lot to take in on a first watch with this. Like the dialogue with this movie is very quick at times, like in a lot of Wes Anderson movies, and it can feel a little bit not overwhelming, but just a little bit much at times. And also the humor in this movie, it's very like there's so many little clever like visual gags or just small little throwaway lines that are very funny, but they're not. A lot of them aren't really like laugh out loud jokes. So the crowd I was in, it was really tough to gauge how everyone was liking or enjoying it. It was a pretty full crowd, honestly. It was pretty surprising for this Wes Anderson movie, which was really cool to see. But there are just a lot of jokes in here where even me, myself personally, I wasn't laughing out loud at, but I was just constantly recognizing, oh man, that's a funny joke there. Like I see what he was going for. And the style here and the overall concept and the location of being one of the reasons why I like it, the Asteroid City part of this movie more, is the actual play, I guess, of it is, as I mentioned before, I love the idea of 1955 being in this location where an asteroid hit, and then you have aliens involved in space, and just everything going on in that time, and the new discoveries that are being made. It was really cool concept with that. The characters that really kept up my interest and I wanted to follow the most and stay on this movie was Jason Schwartzman and Scarlett Johansson. There are two actors that are in this play, and they're constantly having conversations, talking about their real lives and how they're affected by certain things that happened in it, and then also just kind of reading through some scenes and going over stuff going on within the play and just everything that ends up happening here in Asteroid City, this rural town, only like population 87 or something like that. I really loved all their interactions. I was definitely more engaged, more into the movie whenever that was going on. And also the interaction with Jason Schwartzman and his family. Augie Steenbeck was Jason Schwartzman's name, and his family. Jake Ryan as Woodrow, his oldest son. You have Ella Ferris as Andromeda, Gracie Ferris as Pandora, and Willem Ferris as Cassiopeia, the three daughters here. So you have Jason Schwartzman, the dad, and his son and three daughters, and they're here. And a lot of what you deal with in the story here is something that's happened to their mom, and he's trying to have to confess to his kids that don't know yet, and that is a lot of what you're doing in the beginning with this movie. And then you just kind of are along the ride with Jason Schwartzman. He goes through a lot. When it cuts back to the black and white, the real world going on, you see kind of his struggle at playing the character that he is in this play. And again, a lot of that is kind of a disconnect with me when you cut back to that stuff. I was just more in on the stuff going on in Asteroid City, to be honest. Just the overall concept and just where the story was going. It just intrigued me more there. Scarlett Johansson was really good in this, though, as this actress. Really had a tragic life, and just seeing some of the thought process and really just some of the dialogue within each scene. There would be certain moments in a scene where I was just like, oh man, that was really kind of brilliant, a really nice moment there, emotionally, or just the way the dialogue was delivered or written down in the script. There was a lot to really enjoy and eat up as a movie fan within this in terms of some of the dialogue. Jeffrey Wright plays General Gibson, this general working for the military on this base. He's here for the junior stargazing event that's going on, while you have all these special smart kids here for this science event, if you will, winning awards for different inventions that they have. You have Liev Schreiber here as J.J. Kellogg, one of the parents of the really smart, intelligent kids. Wasn't in this movie too much, but I did like his presence overall. He had this kind of quirkiness about him. A fun character, I will say. Some of the kids here, Aristu Meehan as Clifford. I thought he was really good. Had some nice little moments. Ethan Josh Lee as Ricky. Also, Sophia Lillis in here as Shelley. Really nice to see her in here. Tom Hanks in here as Stanley Zach. Now, he is the father-in-law of Jason Schwartzman's character, Augie, and he is around here, meets them up in Asteroid City when their car breaks down. He was pretty nice in this. I didn't know quite how I was going to feel. Tom Hanks being in a Wes Anderson movie, I think he might have been in a Wes Anderson movie before, I don't know for sure, but it felt kind of weird. But I thought he really did fit the kind of style and vibe of this movie, and really all the actors involved in this, they understood the movie they were in, and it felt like they were just involved in one big play. It really did feel like you were watching a play. That's one of the things that really I did like about this the most. You even had certain moments where you'd have, they would literally show on the screen, almost like you're seeing it from the actual play book, the actual script that you're reading. It shows scenes 1 through 3, first act, like it would go through where you're at in the movie and really add to the atmosphere of like you're watching a play. And that's something I really did enjoy. Person like me, who was in drama in middle school and high school, really kind of made me kind of a comfort zone for me watching the movie at certain times with those aspects in it. Matt Dillon as the mechanic in Asteroid City, again, a smaller role for him as well. A lot of just people just kind of popping in and out through this movie as it goes, and it wasn't actually too distracting for me. That was one thing going on. I was like, is there so many famous people in here where I'm not even going to be like focused on the story or what's going on? It actually, every person played their role really well. No one felt like they were trying to outshine or anything like that. That just obviously Wes Anderson's really good with directing, so I'm sure he put people in the places they needed to be, and they really did a good job of playing whatever character they were. Even if there were moments in the story where I, again, was disconnected more, that everyone was still playing their character really well in this. All the acting was just very well done all around. Steve Carell as the motel manager, just kind of a tender, just kind of sweeter, older guy, just kind of softly talking, just kind of there around all the events taking place in this movie, having just a little nice conversations that don't seem like they amount to much. There's a lot of that in this movie, and look, this movie is not going to be for everybody. Obviously, you can say that about pretty much all the Wes Anderson movies, but this one specifically, just watching it, yeah, it's got a very specific style, and again, there's no real like direct narrative. You're like, okay, this is happening, and so they're probably going to try and do this so we can get to this. Like, it's just a movie where you're kind of just, you're here with all the characters, and it's more about the idea of everything that Wes Anderson's going for, if that makes sense, than just like a specific narrative that we're following as an audience. It's more of like watching these characters, how they act, and again, it just feels like an ensemble play in that way. Tony Revolori as Aide de Camp. Obviously, nice to see him in here, coming back in. He was in The French Dispatch and, of course, Grand Budapest Hotel, and obviously showing up as Flash Thompson in the Spider-Man MCU movies. So it's really nice to see him back in here, just reuniting with Wes Anderson again. He plays sort of kind of a similar character in a way, almost like Grand Budapest Hotel. Almost seemed like a little bit of a shout out to that. Another one of those things where it seemed like Wes Anderson was almost being like meta in a way or something, the way he was just leaning into all the things that Wes Anderson's known for. It seems like it's almost not like overly amplified, but like it's very, very present in this movie. Jeff Goldblum makes a really brief, almost cameo-like appearance. Adrian Brody is in here playing a very just interesting kind of weird character that he does play, particularly in these Wes Anderson movies. I think he was the director of this play, but he's involved in this movie really in more, again, he's one of the characters that are involved in like the black and white scenes that are in this movie, the best way to describe it. Tilda Swinton as Dr. Hickenlooper. She, again, coming back into a Wes Anderson movie, she's a really nice presence in this as well. Really, again, just very small parts that she shows up in this movie. Willem Dafoe and Margot Robbie are also in this movie as well. It's just literally like almost every person you can think of are in this movie, just keep fucking popping up. With all the famous people that are in this movie, though, a very big compliment I can give this is this movie really does feel like an ensemble. Like, Jason Schwartzman is, I guess, really like the main character that you're here for, following him and his family. Other than that, though, it really does feel, again, like a play. This would work if I was going to an actual theater to see a play. Like, you're following this main character, he shows up in Asteroid City, and then you're just watching these events take place and happen. And one of the things I also really did like, I do have to mention the ambiance in a certain scene in this with green lighting. I really did like the effect there. If you've seen the trailer, you probably see the green light moment, and I really do like, there's a couple scenes that this happens, and I don't know, it's really nice setting for what's going on in those particular scenes. And again, just all the concepts dealing with aliens and, again, space exploration, just stuff going on at the time period that this is in, they really play into it very well. There's just moments where you'll be like, the camera will be just in front of, there'll be a couple characters, and in the foreground and the background you have just like a shop, like a regular deli or something like that, and it really has the feel of 1950s, and there's all this writing on like, oh, get a sale on tires, or like, here, get a 25-cent donuts, or whatever, like just different writing, and there's just so much to look at on the screen that there's just so many shots. There's like a visual feast, definitely for sure, and the cinematography feels very much like Wes Anderson as well. So with all those technical aspects and certain story elements, I did get what I was coming for all that. Again, just trying to reinstate, there's just certain areas where the story goes that I was just, again, disconnected with more than I was hoping, obviously, I would be. About an hour through, there's this moment where Bryan Cranston comes into the screen. And like, it's like they're making this kind of funny joke, it's not a spoiler, and they're like, and Bryan Cranston's like, oh, I'm not supposed to be here, am I? Like, is he supposed to be part of like the real world, just the host of talking about the play that is being made? It goes in directions like that is very weird, and it's very like meta, and again, self-aware, almost in a way of like Wes Anderson. Once that moment happened, I was like, okay, I kind of really understand where this movie is going to go. It's not going to have any major moments, and again, that's really part of the course of what Wes Anderson does. But I don't know, for me, for some reason, it just didn't quite work as well in this movie as it does in his other ones. But there's plenty to enjoy with this. I'll definitely really want to watch this movie again. Maybe not go to theaters again to see it unless one of my friends wants to go see it. I do want to see, though, how my perspective changes. There's a lot that does go on in this movie, despite I'm sure there'll be a lot of people that watch it and think there's not much that goes on. But if you really watch, there's certain things that I might like more upon rewatching this, and there might be some things that I like even less. It's one of those movies that it's very mixed bag for me overall. But that's my main thoughts. I'm going to give Asteroid City a 6 out of 10. I guess it's sort of a little bit disappointing. I can't quite necessarily give this a full-on positive recommendation. I think overall, you heard me through this review, the positives and the negatives that I talked about. I feel like it's pretty mixed. It's pretty split in terms of what I think are my negatives and positives for this movie. There's just too many times, I think, where I was disconnected for me to really have a full-on, like, oh yeah, I really like this movie. I gave it a 6 out of 10 because on a lot of technical levels, this movie is very beautiful to look at. I think in some of the concepts I was wanting to get out of this movie, I thought it did deliver on. There were just certain moments within each scene, the dialogue, and then where the story goes, where, again, the disconnect was kind of there for me, and I wasn't as intrigued in sort of the wildness of this story as I am in some other Wes Anderson movies. But what do you guys think? Have you seen this movie? What do you think about it? It is a pretty weird one, like most Wes Anderson films. Have you seen any other Wes Anderson films? What are your favorite? Have you never heard of Wes Anderson? I've never heard of this movie. Whatever you think, leave a comment down below. Also, hit that like button if you did enjoy this video, and hit that subscribe button as well if this is your first time watching any of my videos, or if you're a returning viewer as well. Any support for this channel is very much appreciated. You can also follow me on TikTok and add me on Snapchat, where I will post content similar to this. But for the most part, my content will be here on this YouTube channel, Not Your Average Josh. So again, as always, I appreciate all the support. Looking for more videos very soon. I am going to be putting together a film review series for all the Indiana Jones movies. I haven't seen the first 3 since I was a little kid, and I haven't seen Kingdom of the Crystal Skull at all, so it'll be very interesting to see what my thoughts are on that, and then going into this new movie that's coming out. But other than that, it's going to be a lot of new releases that are coming out as well. Maybe might talk about the new show Secret Invasion. I have like the first episode of that. Again, want to get more into TV reviews on this channel, but just don't have a lot of time other than doing my movie stuff right now. But I'll be looking for all that and more pretty soon. But that'll be it for now. I will talk to you guys later.